Western Conference Podcast, and we are here back for year 2. And I know it's been a long time. You see the new digs over here. They got a new little background. We got the blue light going on. But it's your boy, Big Body Cisco, brought to you by Dos Caras Tequila and Bula Pies. And I got a special guest. It's been a long time coming. In the building, I got my beautiful mother, Helen Lutu. How you doing, Mom?
Not too good.
Don't get all nervous now.
Not too good.
So I've been wanting to have moms to come before you guys know. You guys know I'm a mama's boy for sure. But I had Mom in town taking care of me because I just had surgery, for those who know. So we had a late start to the year. So the reason why I had this late start, I had surgery, had a lot of stuff going on. I was in New Zealand and Australia for One Love and jamming. But we are back here in Las Vegas live, and I got my mama in the building who's just been taking care of me. But Mama, how we doing?
I'm doing good. You weren't the greatest of patients.
You got to bust me out.
You wasn't the great of patients, but I was happy to do it.
Okay, good. See, but the reason that I brought you in is because you watch a lot of my podcasts, right?
Always.
So when I have a podcast and I have a guest, the biggest critics and the person I go to first is my mom and my sister. So my mom is kind of like the biased one, and my sister's the talk shit one. So when my mom came and I said, I got to have you as a guest on the podcast, like, what was your intention? Well, what did you think was going to happen when we came here for the first time? After seeing them on YouTube for the last 50 shows.
I was thinking, what in the world are you going to talk to me for in an hour that people's going to be interested in? And then I thought, okay, I might be telling on you a lot.
That's what people want. That's what people want, actually.
So I was like, okay. And then you caught me off guard.
Yeah.
This was like last minute. And we're getting ready to take me to the airport, and he tells me, Mom, we're just going to stop real quick at the studio and do a podcast.
You know why? Because I feel like it's better that way. It's better that way because if it was lingering a little bit longer, I feel like you would have got a lot nervous. You're a little nervous now, but I think you would have got a lot nervous if we would have just had it planned out.
True.
But we're here. I'm here to tell the story of my mom because if you guys know, I always talk about my mom on social media. Speaking of social media, she's like the Facebook queen. But we'll get into all that. And I got to let you know everyone want to know where the humble beginnings come from. And with my mom, we got to take you back to your humble beginnings because people always want to know, how'd you get the Bay Area? How'd you get this Polynesian thing? So take us back to when Helen was a little girl, when it was Helen Lefiti, and take us back to when you was a little girl growing up.
That's a long time ago. Yeah. It was like 67 years ago.
See, go on, tell her, Mama.
I'm 67.
Yeah.
Don't care. But anyway, I was kind of brought up in the era where, my mother wasn't Samoan.
Yeah.
My mom was German.
Say that. So grandma was
Hawaiian German.
Not even no spick of Samoan.
Not a spick of Samoan in her. And I had Samoans who used to ask me, am I related to you on your mom's side or your dad's side? Well, that couldn't be possible on my mom's because my dad's Samoan. So I was raised in an era where me and Auntie Pekka weren't Samoan.
Yeah. And that's your sister.
And my father was a high chief.
Got it.
So we had to be more Samoan than we were anything else.
Yeah.
Because we had to know all of the fa'aus. We had to know how to do everything perfect because of my dad.
Yeah.
And then my dad raised 2 girls on his own.
Yeah.
I have 14 brothers and sisters. So let's
come
back
on.
that up.
Let me let you guys soak that in real quick.
I got 14 brothers and sisters. And as those days were, you have to understand a lot of people men at first came from Samoa. My dad came on a ship. Sound like he came. Anyway, he came here on a ship and, of course, left his other family back in Samoa, my brothers and my sisters. And he met my mom here, who was from Hawaii, who had been previously married too. So I call it the 752.
Yeah.
So I have 7 brothers and sisters who we have the same mother. I have 5 brothers and sisters who we have the same father. And then I have 1 sister who we have the same mother and father.
So you can understand the confusion
that's
as
not,
kids.
And that's not really uncommon in a Samoan.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like we grew up with my cousins.
Yeah.
And so when that time in those days, it was all about church, all about family. And my father being a chief, he was a very, very high chief.
Yeah.
In fact, your father's father, Lutu, he's a high chief. And
Lineage is strong, Mama.
I got to tell you, my father was an Afua.
Yeah.
And my husband's father's a Lutu. And if you know anything about Samoa, that's very big chief titles in Fonkoa and Utule. Anyway, long story short, kind of grew up in that stage where Samoa was just coming here. So when you were a chief, when my dad became a chief, I had to go back to Samoa. So it's called a Saufa'i.
Okay.
We had to do his Saufa'i. So the Oda Four, who was a Four, handed him the title in a ceremonial type thing. Yeah. I went back there. They wouldn't let me do anything because I was a little white girl from Cali. So anyway, but I did go back with my dad, and then so he got the title, but he moved back here
to the Bay Area.
Yeah. And in those days, he's a chief, but he's here in the Bay Area. So what it started when my dad came back here is we had to have chiefs here because any Samoan wedding, any Samoan funeral,
any function,
the family gets together.
Yes.
So at that time, everyone came to our house because my dad was a chief.
Yeah.
But he wasn't serving the family in Samoa because he lived here.
Ah, got it.
But he did go back every year for church conference and for check on the family and do all that. So me and Auntie Becca kind of grew up in a Samoan church.
In San Francisco.
In San Francisco. So my mother, your grandma, died when I was 5.
In San Francisco.
In San Francisco.
Yeah, I remember
she died in the.
It was a church fire, right?
Church fire that was at off of Palu. It was a Catholic church, O'Hallows Church, I think it was, and
down in HP.
We're down off of 3rd Street.
Yeah.
And so her and my brother passed away in that fire, and my dad was in Apia, and at that time there was no phones and stuff. So they had to literally telegraph.
Yeah.
Is that what you call it?
Telegram or something? Yeah.
You know the whatever you
Damn.
call it. Whatever you call it. Them kind of days.
Yeah.
So I think I might be wrong on this one, and Becca's going to kill me. I think my mom passed before my dad made it back here. I can't remember.
Yeah.
I was only 4.
Yeah.
4 or 5. Anyway, so my mom passed away when I was that young. So we really, every year in the summertime, we went and spent time with our family in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Okay, then that's where we got to know our Hawaiian culture and our Samoan culture.
And that's from Grandma's side.
And that's from Grandma's
Got
side.
it.
So, my dad raised us by himself. He never remarried.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of, it was kind of hard for me.
Yeah.
It was hard for me because I was the dark one.
Yeah.
Okay, so half the people didn't even know he had another daughter. It was
Yeah.
only Auntie Becca because, she was so light-skinned.
Yeah, she was light-skinned,
And in
Auntie.
our culture, what's funny about it, and even the Tongan culture, Samoan culture, when you light-skinned, you got it made.
Yeah.
So since I was the black sheep, looked like my daddy.
So you were the darker of the skin tone.
I was a darkie.
Yeah.
And they didn't, he didn't mind taking me to church, but Auntie Becca was involved in everything.
Yeah. Because she was the light-skinned one.
She was the light-skinned one. So
Racial profiling at its best,
I'm
right?
telling you. and my daddy started it.
Yeah.
But other than that, we kind of grew up in a time where strict, real strict. I mean, he came from Samoa with
because he brought those morals from Samoa.
Oh my God!
To
did
San
he
Francisco.
bring those morals from Samoa? I mean, if we talk about it, you're gonna call it child abuse.
Yeah.
I mean,
see, a lot of people act like these whoopings people getting nowadays. It ain't nothing compared to what they was getting back in the day.
This is nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing compared. And the look.
Yeah.
You just die.
Yeah.
Just die.
I remember when Pops
the look
used to give us a look.
When the look came out, just pass out because you were getting it. But I think it taught us a lot. I think it taught me and we were all growing up wondering what Samoans were.
Yeah.
We were scared of cops. And excuse me, I'm not being racial or anything.
Yeah.
We thought Palangis, which are
white people,
Caucasians,
yeah.
we thought they were just all better than us.
Yeah.
Because
it was that era, it was that time where it was, right?
we were raised in an era where we were definitely second, third class citizens.
Yeah.
I mean, we weren't Hispanic.
Yeah.
We weren't black. We were kind of. Where are they from?
Yeah, because you don't find who you are at that time.
And
back in the day.
A Samoan until Samoan started playing football and what was a Samoan and where is Samoa?
Yeah.
So we kind of had to find ourselves in. I know we were brought up in San Francisco.
Got it.
But then we moved to South City.
Yeah.
And when we moved to South City, believe it or not, I was the darkest thing in my class.
In South City?
In South City.
Yeah.
So I went from one racial profile. And the reason why I'm bringing that up, not because I'm trying to talk so much about my
you grew up in a time, Mom. You grew up in a time.
I grew up, I got my music
Yeah.
from, Ingleside, where do you call Ramsdale?
That's like Lakeview area.
Lakeview area.
Yeah.
Okay, so I grew up in the Lakeview area.
Got it.
Me and my sister went to school in the Lakeview area, and that's where we got all our Motown from.
And that was my quick, because you guys know that I'm a big music aficionado.
Yeah.
So that's why I was brought up on music, and that was like, how did you get into that whole? So if you grew up in Lakeview, you grew up on like the Motowns and everything.
All of it.
Yeah.
And then we moved to South City.
Yeah.
And it was like, what?
Yeah. So was it like that big of a difference from South City and San Francisco at that time?
Big difference.
Yeah.
Big difference. There was only 3 Samoan families at the time, and if I'm wrong, please forgive me.
Yeah.
There were the Tavakis, Lorleen and them, the
Got it.
Tavakis who lived in South City. It was Auntie Fakolo who lived across the street. Because my mom had passed away, my dad wanted to move to South City so we'd be close to family.
Got it.
So he moved across the street from his sister.
Yeah.
We were directly across the street from his sister.
So those were like two Samoan families in that neighborhood, which is kind of out of character at the time.
Yeah, and then the Sokoa family, the Sotoa family was on the other side of South City, but it was a handful of us.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing like today, nothing like the mixture we have today.
Oh, absolutely.
So when we went to South City, your Uncle Ty, I went to South City High School, you went to South City High School, and, he started breaking all the football records, and, and it was...
And then people started to get notoriety then.
Kind of
it was like the baller football player, which was my uncle, and then... But the music, did that come with you to South City as well, from Lakeview?
Well, no, because when I came to South City, I thought I was a hippie at that time.
Yeah.
Because
it's around the hippie time.
I had to kind of change my thing because the people were just different.
Yeah.
I was the only Polynesian in my class, and then we had one guy, Skip Wilson, remember your name, and Skip, he was black.
Yeah.
And that was it. So we went from one whole different realm to another, which was good because then I did start liking their music.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why you were brought up on, I like me some country, like me some Motown.
A little bit of everything.
Little bit of everything, even some Samoan songs.
Yeah, yeah.
But, that's kind of where the music came from. Music came from Ingleside or Lakeview, and then moved to South City, kind of got that genre of music.
So you kind of like mixed it all in together as you were growing up.
Yeah, and I met your dad.
Okay, see, no, we got to get into that. We got to get into that. So you moved to South City, and Pops came from the islands, right? So when he, fresh off the boat?
Straight off the boat. Love you dearly, Si. Straight off the boat.
So when Pops comes over from the islands, how does he even get involved with the whole meeting each other in South City? And move up a little bit more to the mic. There you go.
We meet each other in church.
Got it. So it was a church relationship.
Church.
Yeah.
So at that time, if you remember, wrestling was on.
Yes.
It used to be Peter Maivia, Rocky Johnson. Those were the days.
And that was huge in the Bay Area at the time.
It was huge in the Bay Area, and if you were young folks, that's where you went and met all your boyfriends at.
So that was like the kicking spot.
Yeah, at the
wrestling. The WWF at that time.
Go meet you at the Cow Palace?
Yeah.
So meet you at the Cow Palace under the flag.
Yeah.
Under the flag. You had to,
don't give away all the secrets. But that was the time of The Rock, his grandfather, Peter Maivia. So that was like a good time of wrestling.
Yeah, all those guys.
Yeah.
And my father, because your dad and Uncle Vesey were from Fonkongo, which is our village, told the two brothers to go watch their sisters, which was me and Auntie Becca.
Oh, so they were supposed to be watching y'all. Oh, but they watched y'all all right,
They watched us and married us. But anyway, so that's how we met.
Yeah.
And, and it was different for me because I was born and raised here. I was the last of 14. So, your dad had a culture that was way different from...
So his upbringing was definitely different than your upbringing as far as growing up, you in San Francisco and him in Samoa.
More on what he expected from a wife.
Yeah. So he was expecting like the old school Samoan.
Oh, he wanted me to stay home, be pregnant, and carry the baby. I mean, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
and you know me as your mother. I never not worked a day in my life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, I've had some positions that
high positions.
Just positions that not staying home.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was a struggle for me and your dad because it wasn't that we came from two different backgrounds. I mean, two different cultures. It was we came from two different backgrounds.
Of the same culture.
Of the same culture, and if I served if I did a out wrong, he'd look at me like "Fia palangi."
Yeah, like
excuse
you was doing.
Me, I am palangi.
Yeah.
I mean,
so how do you make that transition when you do have a husband, my father, who comes from the islands, and you being raised in the States? Like there has to be a culture shock in between you guys. Even trying to form a relationship.
Well, I've been married to your dad for 50 years.
Yeah.
So that ought to show something.
Ooh, Lord.
And in them 50 years, I still ain't figured them out.
Yeah.
So the answer to your question is that there is no answer. You just take every day as it is.
Yeah.
I was only 18 when I married him.
Yeah.
Had you at 19.
Hi, guys. Hi, everybody.
Yeah. Had him at 19.
But take us to that. Like when you are growing up in the Bay Area, you have a husband that just came from the islands, and now you're pregnant with me. And now, how does this whole transition? Because you just said you're 19 years old.
Let me tell you how I even married your daddy.
Yeah.
I had to run away to Reno.
Oh, Lord.
Ran away to Reno.
Well,
before I ran away, I had to go steal my birth certificate out of my daddy's safe.
Oh, so you just did some things.
Just to prove I was bad. Just to prove I was 18. Went to Reno, married your dad, went with Carl Hedlund and Bev Parks. Came back across the bridge, didn't have a quarter to pay the bridge.
Wow.
So came back, went to a public phone booth and called my dad and said, "Hi, Daddy."
How'd that conversation go?
Click.
Yeah.
Get your ass home now. Click.
Yeah.
And I did. I went there and I looked at him. I said, "You ready?" He said, "Yeah, but you got to remember, me and Dad are related in the Samoan way.
Yeah.
You know, his dad was high chief and my dad's high chief of the same village. So not really brothers and sisters, but in Samoa, we're very close, very close.
Like distant cousins.
So trust me, Daddy knew who he was.
Yeah.
And
so
Daddy
he knew who your dad was, who Grandpa was.
Knew who his father was,
Yeah.
knew who his mother was. And we got there. And of course, my brother, Kuyama, Oliva, was telling your dad, he ain't walking out of here. He ain't walking out of here.
Alive.
And I just kind of...
Yeah. Because these are your big brothers.
He's my big brother, and I thought, is that all you got to deal with? You all right? Because he loves me. He won't. So anyway, we got married, and a year later, I had you.
Yeah.
And you should have saw the people up in the church. No, I was not married when I was not pregnant when I got married. So, I mean, because, church was a big deal.
Well, you get held under a microscope.
Oh,
I mean,
God.
especially growing up.
And they wanted to, and then talk about my dad.
Yeah.
Oh, look at so-and-so's
Because he
daughter.
had such a title.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And you got to remember, when you carry a title like that, we carried it too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was.
Because you kind of hold on to the lineage of the last name.
So when we went and baptized you, I was like, count.
Yeah.
Count. So anyway.
But you got to tell us about this young love. Like we talk about today, and we talked about it before with social media and, the divorce rate being so high. Like, how does somebody that grows up, everything was coming at you full force, full pregnancy with me, you got married to Dad, but without the wishes of your family. Like, how did you guys keep that intact for so long? You've been married for 50 years.
Here's my thing. I just don't listen to nobody.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way, not in a fear poco
Yeah.
way. I don't. First of all, that's what ruins a marriage.
Yeah.
Because trust me, if someone's gonna tell you something about your husband, it's probably not true because they want him.
Yeah.
So I learned, and early on, Samoan men are not your typical gentlemen.
Yeah.
So I had to go through a lot.
Yeah.
And the thing in those days was hit the bar Friday 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Come home Sunday, time for work on Monday.
Yeah.
So I
that was like the routine, right?
Yeah, and I don't know if you want to call it the fortunate one, but I was one of the very, very few Samoan women at my age that got to go with your dad.
Yeah.
There was no leaving me home.
Oh, so you were able to. So you were the one that broke the cycle of going with the man to like these functions.
And Daddy's friends will all tell you.
Yeah.
I was the only one there, and it was kind of a mutual thing.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it at that time, but now it's kind of like, ugh.
Yeah.
Like, well, I was, but I was with him always.
Yeah.
And like I told you, we didn't have it easy, but I never knew that word divorce.
Yeah.
I knew that word.
Well, is that just something that came from Polynesian upbringing?
That was more a culture thing.
Got it.
My daddy told me, now you married him, don't think
That's
you
forever.
married. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't try to come here and tell my daddy.
Yeah.
I want to leave him. That ain't happening. So there were
thick and thin is like thick and thin.
There were a few times me and him had a little argument. I would try to run to my dad's house. He's like, "What?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Okay, Daddy, can I stay here?" No.
Because he knew what the upbringing was.
You said you. Yes, I do. Well, I do. Go back home.
Like that for sure today is like a lost. What do you call it?
Absolutely.
But what do you think it got lost in translation as growing up? Because you've seen it coming from.
I just think you guys got it too easy nowadays.
Yeah.
I just think it's easier for you guys to say later, I'm gonna go find me another one on the block.
Yeah.
I done put too much training into your daddy to try to want to find somebody else new.
Go on, tell it, Mom.
That's the first thing. I mean, after you done, and I don't mean training in a way that I'm trying to be like, oh, I trained him. I put a lot of effort and a lot of love and a lot of headaches and a lot of, heartache.
Yeah.
A lot. We've been through everything. We don't, because your program's only, an hour long. So I ain't got time to go through our whole life.
Yeah.
You kids seen it. And you kids know that I apologize to you for there wasn't something, if I would just be quiet.
Yeah.
But I wasn't that tight.
And I think that's where I got my voice from. Is because my mom, we noticed growing up, is like, when you see your dad mad, and we think that the woman is kind of like, okay, you're supposed to bow down, right? Moms didn't bow down. For some reason, she kept egging it on, and we were like, oh yeah, you're making Dad more mad. But what came from you to kind of say, no, I have a voice in this reasoning where I'm not just going to shut up?
Well, till this day, he doesn't think I have a voice. But that's okay because, now I've changed.
Yeah.
Now I know a little bit more. Just let him think he won.
Yeah.
Just let him think he won. And yes, let him think he won, and the fight's over.
Yeah.
And in the back of your mind, think all you want to think, just don't let it come out of your mouth. See, because what I did in the past was I never had a filter.
Yeah.
What came out, and I was like, "Ooh, did I just say that?"
See, and now you guys wonder where I get it from. The no filter thing is straight from my mama because Pops was quiet, but he was a deadly quiet. But when you have a voice and you kind of have that, where you're dealing with, Pops who came from the islands, and you kind of, where he's kind of getting familiarized with how San Francisco and South City, where he's growing up. Like, how does that have transitioned to now? You guys are parents.
Well, wait a minute. What are you talking about? Till this day, your daddy say, Cisco?
Yeah.
Yes, Dad.
Yeah. And look,
this
I don't care
man
how
is
old I am.
6 foot something, and his brother Carl, I'd be calling their name 55 times. Cisco, come help Mom. They act like they deaf. Their daddy, one time, and that's a Samoan cultural, not a Samoan,
Absolutely.
It's a cultural thing. Their daddy called their name. Yes, Dad. What you need? How?
I think growing up, I think it's because we were taught to respect our father, right? And I think we grew up in a household
fear.
where
It's respect more than fear.
I think it was more. We thought it was fear, and the older you got, you kind of figured it was more respect.
Yeah.
Because when Dad gave us a look, or Dad would say, "Hey," like one word is all it took. We straighten up quick. And I think that's another loss.
I'm gonna tell you a story. Cisco gave me a look. Cisco gave me a look, and his daddy went and got a bat.
Yeah.
The daddy went and got a bat. And I mean, this has happened so long ago. I hope I'm not embarrassing anyone. Daddy went and got a bat and looked at Cisco, and Cisco's like, "What, Dad?" He goes, "Oh, you think I didn't see you look at your mom like that?" And I, in the back of my head, was like, "Oh, he gonna get it." And
see, we had the luxury of being raised from both sides. Like, we had Dad's iron fist, and then we had your kind of like, there's other ways to do that.
Yeah.
And I think me being the oldest and growing up with my siblings, like, we kind of seen it where it went from, like, we knew what discipline was.
Yeah.
And I think in today's society, when we have our own kids, we kind of like grew up saying we wouldn't discipline our kids like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But because, it's transitional through generation where you either try to break the cycle or you don't. But when I started having kids, I was like, do I want to have that look? Then I was like, nah, I want my kids to love me, not fear me, which later on in life kind of made it think, nah, I want them to respect me.
And you know what? I'm so glad you said that because it was coming out of my mouth as you were talking. If you teach your kids to respect, all the stuff comes with it.
Because that should be the first lesson.
Yeah. If, like you right now, if you disrespected somebody in front of me, I don't care how old you are or what you are, I'd look at you like, did you?
Yeah.
Really? That lady is an old woman. Did you really talk? It's. I think that, like your dad in Samoa, they were quick to. In Samoa was heavy handed.
Yeah.
So out here, what I tried to even out the feel, I like to tell your dad, just talk to the boys.
We used to always be on my mom's side when she used to be like, talk to the kid. We were like, oh, we can have a conversation, Dad. Dad wasn't taking that for the life of us, but for me and my siblings that we grew up, I think we see kids now, we see how people were growing up. Everyone has a different background. Everyone has a different culture of how they were raised. I think, and maybe it's just me, I feel like me and my brothers and sister was fortunate to grow up in that type of household because not everybody grow up in those type of households.
Yeah.
You get those that maybe not have a father, maybe not have a mother, maybe they have a divorced family, where we kind of like got lucky in some aspects where our parents stick together through thick and thin. We were raised with the iron fist when my dad had his ways of doing it and you had your ways of doing it, but we also had fun in between.
Yes.
And when I say we have fun in between, like after an ass whooping, and I know some of the poly kids can kind of relate with me with this, my dad would whoop our ass, then would gather us in the room and tell us this bullshit ass speech about how he did it because he loved us.
He did.
And I looked at my mom, I said, you gonna let him get away with this shit? So
you're lucky he talks.
So for our dad to do that, because I tell you guys, after our ass whoopings, my dad would take us to McDonald's or to go get ice cream. And I don't know if that was, we might have to go to therapy for that one day, but I don't know if that was like something that hurt us or helped us.
But I'm going to tell you, it's funny, Cisco, you can relate to this and tell me what I'm saying. There is not a niece or nephew of ours that don't love your daddy more than their parents almost.
See, and that's the thing too. When I started having kids, the grandfather compared to the father is night and day. Like you would have never. I used to think my dad was a silent, deadly assassin. I used to think he was a hired help for gangsters that he would kill people. So that's how bad we thought of our dad. But when we grew up and he turned into a grandfather, he's like the nicest dude you ever. I'm like, me and my brother and my sister sit there and scratch our heads like this can't be the same man that was whooping us back in the day, because he doesn't do that because when he sees us getting mad at our kids, he says, no, leave them alone.
Oh,
and we have to like follow the chain of command where we couldn't do what we did. Well, not that we wanted to, but like even the littlest things where I'm yelling at my son and he'd be like, hey, I got it.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something about grandkids.
Yeah.
First of all, grandkids are another level of love.
Yeah.
That people don't even realize that there is another level.
Yeah.
Trust me, there's a man and wife, a husband and a son and daughter, but grandkids.
There's levels to this.
So your love for your grandkids, you never had what you had with your kids.
Yeah.
When we had you guys, we were struggling, hoping we was holding down a job. With our grandkids, please, Toys R Us is the backyard.
Yeah.
Because we were established, we have everything, and life was less stressful.
Yeah.
So that did help. It helps when you have your grandchildren and you're going.
I notice it now. I'm a new grandfather for those who don't know. And my oldest son had twins. And the things that I'm taking away from being a grandfather is you can give the kids back. You know, and that's something for me. Is like if they get out, take them back. So I can see where you guys say it's another level of love because you want to not have your kids grow up how you did. Then you have the grandkids that kind of I kind of have some kind of say in the way we kind of raise them as well, as far as helping our kids raise their kids.
Yeah, and you know when I hear that saying a lot where they say I don't want to raise my kids like I was.
Yeah.
There's certain things that you take that you want to raise them like you were.
Yeah, you take the little thing that you want.
And then there's other things that we were 19, and I mean, your dad was 24, and I was 18.
Yeah.
I mean.
All right, Pops. All right, R. Kelly.
We were growing up with you guys.
Yeah.
So of course I'm not making an excuse for
Absolutely.
the wrongs that we did.
Yeah.
But we were growing up. We were kids growing up with kids.
Yeah.
And then you came. I had 4 more kids after. I mean. So that's another thing with kids nowadays, like, Pookie.
Yeah.
They're young.
My oldest son.
And my days, I hate when they say this, but it was different.
Yeah.
Life was a little different. I look at my granddaughter now, 18, what?
Yeah.
You got a boyfriend? She's like, Grandma, you was married.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
So they have that to
we're
throw
not
back at
talking
you.
about me.
Yeah.
We're talking about you.
Yeah.
But I kind of look at my grandkids and think, I was married at her age? It's just it's different, but I've learned so much. I spoiled you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Still spoil you.
Absolutely. I'm a mama's boy.
I don't even know how old you are.
Yeah.
He just said, Mom, I'm having surgery. And I was like, okay, how long do I have to come up?
Yeah, when I had my surgery, my mom was the first one to fly down to come to my surgery with me. And like I said, I'm a mama's boy at heart. So it didn't matter how old I was. She was going to come down and take care of me, especially here in Vegas. And now we're going to go where I said, we got to come do the podcast. But take us back to like being young parents. Like I think a lot of young parents now is different than young parents then. And I think young parents watching this podcast today can kind of say, oh, well, they didn't have, they got social media today, where it's a lot different. Where like you kind of came in an era where there was no social media, there was no cell phones, there was nothing like that. So like, how did you guys kind of hold where you guys were partying with your friends as opposed to like what today's parents are doing?
I hope what I'm going to say right now doesn't insult your father in any way, shape, or form. That means
it is.
I hated that gender role.
Got it.
Why does a man have to be the one supporting the family? If a woman
Not everybody was a strong-headed woman like you either,
check it out.
Mom.
So if the woman supported the family, his friends would talk about, okay, that was then, and I did. I maybe was before my time.
Yeah.
But your dad was a kind of like a stay-at-home dad.
Yeah.
And I didn't mind it. Taking care of you kids wasn't easy. I'd rather go to work than have to take care of all you 4, but your dad did.
Yeah.
And I have to give that to him because, women nowadays are always saying, yeah, you try to be a mother and your husband go to work. And it was opposite.
Or flip-flop that, yeah.
Yeah, so I kind of, I think we were not a normal.
Yeah.
Our situation wasn't normal.
Did culture have a lot to do with that, though?
Culture had a lot to do with me being put down. I had a job that someone should have been very, very proud of. I'm not bragging.
Yeah.
I just had a job where I was up with vice presidents and stuff.
Yeah.
Cisco, I traveled the world.
Sales,
I traveled to London. I traveled all over the world.
Yeah.
And I had a husband at home who was watching kids.
Yeah.
What do you think his Samoan friends were saying? What do you honestly think they were saying?
I know.
Oh, what's she doing in London?
Yeah.
So it was, I never got my props.
Never got your flowers.
Never got my flowers or never got anything. but I never asked for it.
Yeah.
Never wanted it. I go to the club with you on the weekend. Whatever job you had, I didn't know. Whatever job I had, you didn't know I had.
Yeah.
Because I never was that type to
flaunt it around.
Well, I can't go to that club
and throw it
because
at people's,
what if my people at work see me?
Absolutely.
I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, my boss, I think that's why I rose so big in my company, was
Yeah.
because my boss saw when he was wrong, they were scared to tell him. I wasn't.
Yeah.
I was like, why you got your own necks all hanging out over there all mad? You know, and he'd say, Lutu.
Yeah.
I'd say, what? You know, and that was a cultural thing too. I used to catch myself like kind of serving him coffee and something, and the palangi goes look at me like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm so used to it. It's not that I'm trying to kiss him.
It's out of respect. Yeah.
It's out of respect. But I think that was, me and your dad had a little different marriage than a lot of other guys did. Not only that, my father, I worked when I was in high school.
Yeah.
He wasn't playing. So I already knew.
Because you guys had to have a job.
We didn't really have to, but we wanted out of the house.
Yeah. And that was your way to be out. Yeah.
Yeah, because remember, they were strict.
Yeah.
You go down to the corner store, you better be back in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So in order to go get your chickie on,
Yeah.
you had to go get a job. So I had me a job. And it was fun at work because that was the time that I got to, call my boyfriend or talk to my friends or whatever.
And she's talking about an era where me and my mom talk about now, where there was a time where she was saying some of her friends, a lot of you guys know I'm a big music buff. We were talking about Frankie Beverly and Maze. Before I Let Go, all those classics. What's the story you told me that one of your white girlfriends was messing with Frankie Beverly?
Absolutely. Let me tell you that story. Every time I hear Frankie Beverly, I said, we partied together.
See, that's where it came from. I was playing it in the car, and she goes, my girlfriend used to see him. And I'm thinking mom's bullshitting, right?
No
and then
way.
she was like, nah. Mom would tell me the story. I'm like, no.
Frankie Beverly and Rome. I think the only other name I remember in the partying was with Rome. And unfortunately, sorry, my girlfriends, I can't remember their names. There were two white girls. We worked together at Vernon Graphics. And they said, you want to go down to Fillmore West? I said, what's that? Oh, it's a club these guys are playing at, but it's just a. And I said, okay. Well, at that time, they wasn't Frankie Beverly and Maze. They was Frankie Beverly and whoever.
Whoever they was at the time,
we party with them later on in life. You playing, and I said, who's that, Cisco?
Yeah.
And he said, oh, that's Maze. I said, did they say Frankie Beverly? And I said, I used to party with them. They're like, yeah, Mom, just like you used to take care of Rikishi. Yes.
Yes.
I used to take care of Rikishi and Sam and find out all this.
So
you don't never believe my stories.
We transition to this because, Mom sees that I'm in the entertainment industry now. And, when I have these run-ins with music, we talk about Frankie Beverly. We talked about WWF, as it was called at the time, where you guys were raised in the time where you guys were taking care of Rikishi, one of the WWE Hall of Famers, where you used to babysit him before he got into being Rikishi. Tell us about that.
And Tebeka used to babysit The Rock.
See, come on. See what
okay.
The Rock,
so let me tell you how that all happened.
Yes.
Peter Maivia, when he used to have a bout, is that what you call it?
A match.
He had a match, and Tebeka used to go put the lay on him.
Yeah.
So
in the ring.
In the ring.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. White girl. Here we go again. White girl.
Oh, she got to do it because she was the light-skinned one.
I got a whole church member full of girls, but she got. Anyway, sorry, I love you, sis.
So she got to put the
lay on Peter Maivia before he started his match. Then at that time, Singiva and Kumua they were, rock. That was when. Ata.
And that was Peter's daughter.
Yes, I think it's Ata. Please, if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. And she had just had and Tebeka was close with Singiva and them, who are Anguais.
Yeah.
She's married to their older brother, Tumua, who passed, rest in peace.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she used to do The Rock.
So she used to babysit The Rock.
I used to do Rikishi and Sam, the Tongan kid, and all of them.
The whole Fatu family.
And when I be telling you be telling me I'm a liar.
Well, not that she's a liar. As you grow up and you kind of see these figures like The Rock, like Peter Maivia, like Rocky Johnson, like I forget that they were in the Bay Area a lot. Like they used to be in Hayward. I think The Rock had family in Hayward, and they used to always be at the Cow Palace. So go to say when your mom tells me the Frankie Beverly story, or she says, "Oh, I used to baby Rikishi." We're seeing these guys on TV. We're seeing The Rock, doing what The Rock does, and to have them stories come back to there. Like one time, I seen The Rock at an appearance that he was doing, and I had told him that, and he said, "Yeah, she's absolutely right." And I talked to Rikishi, and she was like, "Dude, your mom was my favorite babysitter." I'm like, "Wait, what? You was wiping that big ass before the ass was being the ass?" So
leave that boy alone. That's my baby.
But that was a time where you guys, you see them kind of like where they're transitioned to. Where,
well, you have to look at it this way. We went to Angawai's church.
Yeah, and Angawai's like the hugest name in wrestling.
Their grandfather was the very first First Samoan Congregational Christian Church in San Francisco.
Sagamore. Yeah.
On Sagamore.
Yeah.
I mean, we had churches on other areas before we got that land.
Yeah.
Because remember, we had a lot of different churches before we got enough money to get that land. But the Hawaii family is a big family.
Yeah.
I mean, especially here in the Bay Area with their grandfather being, he was the first minister in that church.
But that's crazy you say that, because when you say Hawaii, we look at it as Hawaii's church. But when you say it, the public sees it as the biggest Hawaii, family tree of WWE wrestling.
Wrestling, yeah. So, I mean, there's always a story behind a family.
Yeah.
But this Bay Area has seen the Hawaii before they were wrestlers.
Yeah.
Before they
Along
were
with
wrestlers.
the Akas and Sikas.
And you know how your sister can't stand when I say Hawaii's church or something.
Yeah.
I don't, okay, sorry.
Yeah. Because it's not called that now.
Exactly.
But, yeah.
In those days, that's when you used to go, what church you go to Falos?
Yeah.
What church you go to Hawaii's? You kind of knew,
New age church,
question now, what village you from
Yeah.
or what that was to say, what church you go to.
Yeah, when you say what village you from, it had kind of almost the same tendency of saying what set you from. So like you was kind of like told somebody set, I like, well, like what family you from? Like that was like kind of seeing and doing their background check on the spot.
Yeah, then I know who that's. I know their family. So and even when you say what village you from, I'm from South City.
Yeah,
Daddy looked at me like what, and I said, I'm just joking. We're from Foncongo, but even saying your village name, gives you a certain status.
Yeah. What kind of holds you to because some people could give you a fake one. And you'll be like, oh, I'm from here. And they'll be like, nah, I've been around there. I don't know. I ain't seen you over there.
Yeah.
And that's where you guys call them out. But take us back to where you see the Hawaiis now. We talked about Rikishi. He's going to be on the podcast, by the way. But Rikishi being, WWE Hall of Famer. You see them in the public eye. You see Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Oh, Auntie Becky take care of him. How do you see the transition where you went from coming from Samoa to the Bay Area, where there wasn't a lot of Samoans, to now you're in a time where they're the biggest thing going on TV, with WWE right now, whether you may not know it or not.
Just like baseball or anything else, if it wasn't for Peter Maivia and those guys before them, wrestling wouldn't even look at Samoans.
Yeah.
We're an island about this big.
Yeah.
We got football players, we got wrestlers,
Yeah.
we got we're from an island that's not even a dot on the map.
Yeah.
So there's somewhere where we have to start. So like when I say Hawaii started to church out here, and then you have the whole Hawaii dynasty as far as wrestling.
Yeah, Samoan dynasty.
And then just all of that. What a Samoan's gonna say? It's from blessing.
Yeah.
Everything we have, or everything,
because it's so rooted in the church.
Everything that's you didn't go nowhere unless you came from the church.
Yeah.
Look at Booyah Tribe.
Yeah.
When they was on here, they was all church.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to say, if you're going to talk our culture, you got to talk church, because half these kids wouldn't be where they're at today because they had to go through church first.
Yeah.
When I look at Whainga and those guys, when I look at them, all rooted on church.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that church gave us the gumption or the ability to, okay, I'm going to go do this.
Yeah.
But church gave us an out to pray when we didn't.
So take us to church. So we grew up in the Bay Area, and when we went to church, my mom and dad decided to raise us with not a Samoan speaking household. So because I get stuff for this all the time. So what was the decision to kind of say, look, we're going to raise our kids in a non-speaking Samoan, household where...
First of all, I don't know how that happened, because your dad couldn't speak English. So, I'm still trying to figure out how in the world you kids, because he never spoke to me in English. Yeah. He spoke to me in Samoan. So I think that's, because your dad speaks some good English, but he's still hesitant to speak English because he thinks he doesn't speak it correctly or whatever.
The right way.
And God knows that I didn't help that by correcting everything he did, so forgive me for that. But I do hate the fact that I didn't teach you guys how to speak Samoan. My dad, I hated it.
Yeah.
Every night we had to read the Bible in Samoan, in English, sing a Samoan song, and have loku.
That was how you was raised.
That was how I was raised. And then now, I can't have a good conversation with a Samoan because I'm kind of Ebonic on it.
Yeah.
I kind of
because you don't want them to judge you now.
Yeah, and I know better. So like when you say, you talk to me in Samoan, I understand that 100% what you're saying. Me to speak back to you and speak it correctly, I won't do it.
And I think we ran into this. So just recently, I took my mom back to the islands of Samoa, and we did a show out there with Comic Kings for It was a show for Blue Sky.
Blue Sky.
And we were out there, and I was kind of nervous because me being in the entertainment industry, when we do get interviews by like Samoa press, or it's kind of harder for me and a lot of artists that are out there today to kind of not speak the language fluently. And even if we do speak the language, we got to speak it kind of a certain way, or you're going to get under the microscope of there. So we went back to the islands, and me and my moms are chilling around American Samoa, and I could notice my mom. You were hesitant to kind of speak Samoan sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Like, is that because you thought they was going to say, oh, you were like the
in
American?
Samoa. Where else can I speak it wrong at? Yeah, no, definitely. And then, see, but mine is a different kind of a nervous. I'm not full-blooded Samoan.
Yeah.
So then they're going to go right. Oh, that's right, because she's an Afghasi.
Yeah.
You're right. I'm an Afghasi, but
Meaning half-breed.
I'm not going to give you. I'm not going to give you more thing to hang me with my Samoan, the way I speak Samoan.
But do you find that like in today's society, like with the grandkids, like I noticed, like we had Cookie, she was speaking Samoan, like
I was teaching
them. Yeah, like my mom was teaching my niece Samoan. Like, do you find that doing it more with your grandkids? Because I don't know how we got lost in the shuffle, but we got lost in the shuffle. Because,
You sure did.
Because we understand a lot of it, but like two words held under a microscope now. Where now we get older, where you're supposed to know your language, right? And it's not something that you can just go Rosetta Stone, but it's also something that I wouldn't disrespect. As far as
absolutely.
being in the public eye that I am, I wouldn't sit there and try to fake it that I speak it. I tell everybody all the time, I don't speak fluent Samoan. I understand certain things, but my mom and dad decided not to raise us in a Samoan speaking household.
I don't even think we decided. I think it just happened.
Yeah.
But I do want to tell this story. Just real quick, if you don't mind.
No,
I'm not
we
going
here
off.
is this podcast,
I'm
Mom.
not going off subject, but I had 4 kids.
Yeah.
And one of my sons, in almost typical Samoan style, was adopted by my dad's sister.
Yeah, by aunt.
And I look at how God works in mysterious ways.
Yeah, this is crazy.
Because my kids here in America have known. I mean, they know do's and don'ts, but they don't know. But my son, who was raised in Samoa, I feel I can leave, and if my kids need anything, their brothers got it down.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
Yeah, and that's why. So what my mom's saying is that we had a brother that was raised by my aunt in Samoa. So he is like the epitome of Fa Samoa.
Oh, 100.
So if anything, we had like a family function that would do, it wouldn't be me and my brother and sisters that was raised in the States that would be the person to go to for that. It would be him. So my mom was kind of saying that he was put there, it was a situation that was like, naturally accepted in the Samoan culture. But when he was raised in Samoa, he was raised out there because of, God forbid, something happens to my mom or dad, he can be the head of our family to do the Fa Samoa way.
That's C. Schuster.
Yeah. Shout out C. Shooter out there, my brother out there. But he's still in Samoa. He's still in Samoa right now.
And sometimes, we don't realize it. We think we got it hard here.
Yeah.
Your brother, he's got it, in Samoa, he's got a heavy thing on his shoulder.
New title.
Well, new title, but his one grandfather was full, his other grandfather was Lutu. So, my son, I just thank God every day that, because that was something that I wasn't happy with.
Yeah.
We can't get into that story because it's too long. But, I told you I was born and raised here, and when they took my son to Samoa, they just kind of didn't bring him back.
So, I tell this story all the time. It's like, hey, you got a brother that lives in Samoa. It's like, he went there to visit, he never came back. But it's kind of like, that's what it was back in the day.
Yeah, but God, and again, I didn't know God's plan.
Yeah.
I didn't know why he was chosen to be taken. But now that I look at it, it's a blessing to our family.
Absolutely.
It's a blessing. Absolutely. And I just wanted to throw that in on that, because that's kind of another Samoan thing that a lot of people, they adopted your brother or your brother. It's common. Very common in
for the polys watching this right now, they'll be like, oh yeah, I got a brother and sister like that.
Yeah. No, looking over at hey, aren't you? No.
But I got a couple questions before we wrap everything up.
Yes.
So these questions, get the tissue out because it might get you. So
oh God, don't.
We'll start with, because there's 7 questions that I wanted to ask my mom on this podcast, and the reason for bringing her here was to give her flowers, and it was to kind of say, thank you for what you've done on us, raising kids and stuff like that too. So these 7 questions is something I think every person who has a mom that's still alive and is still able to have them, that they should know at some point in their life. So my questions go as this. We'll answer them as we go down the line. What do you want or wish most for your kids?
Happiness.
Yeah.
Not money, not happiness in God.
And what's been your favorite memory of each of your kids?
Seeing them smile, seeing them happy, seeing them go for it. You know, I always told my kids, we are not followers.
Yeah.
We are leaders. Either you lead or don't call yourself my kid. No.
Yeah. And that's one thing I can attest to, because I think people ask to me, like, my success in this business, in this space that I'm at, is that you always believed in me.
Always.
Like, and trust me, not that my dad didn't believe in me, but you would figure, like, your dad would want you to go play sports. Your dad would want you to go do that. My dad didn't want us to do a lot of stuff. So we would sneak to go be on the football team. We would sneak to kind of do what we want. And when I kind of made the decision to kind of say, look, I'm going to take my own life in my hands and kind of follow my dreams, I went to my mom, and it was kind of more or less kind of, you were the one to kind of say, hey, go do what you got to do, because you can be anybody who you want to be. It sounds cliche now because it sounds like an after-school special, but when you have it in real life where I'm doing these things, because the fondest memory I have of Mom, it was your birthday. We had Island Reggae Festival in Santa Clara, California. It was her birthday, and I brought my mom on stage, and my mom's been seeing me do my thing for years, but to bring her on stage and have 10,000 people sing happy birthday to my mom. What did you say when you were on stage, Mom?
I can't. Almost pissed in my pants.
So we have 10,000 people.
He's
singing.
lucky I didn't embarrass him.
Yeah. But like, to see that, like, my goal in my life and what I was doing with my career was always to make you and Dad proud.
Which let me tell you, I'm proud of all my kids.
Yeah.
Each of you have your special.
Absolutely.
You know, my son Carl could have went to the left, and look at him now.
Yeah.
You know, my son in Samoan, look at the things he's doing. We don't even want to talk about your sister.
Yeah. My sister's the only girl.
Yeah, she's the only daughter. She Queen Salote.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that. But you're sitting here giving me accolades, longevity.
Mm-hmm.
You know the picture I looked at the other day, where I called you up and I said, Cisco, I just looked at you, and what was that guy's name?
Which
Kid
one?
Capri.
Oh, yeah, Kid Capri.
What was that, 19? I don't
Yeah,
even
we
know
did a
what
show
it
with
was.
Kid Capri in Hawaii.
Kid Capri in Hawaii in
and my mom
19...
said, look how long you've been doing this.
And so longevity is one thing. There's something to want to do something and just do it, and then you're done with it.
Yeah.
When you started this, I saw in you, he's going to make it.
Well, because I had your mouth. I had the way to talk first.
True that. But no, I'm very proud of you, as I am of all my kids and of all the Pollys that are coming out of those shells.
Yeah.
Coming out of the shells and trying to do their thing. And you know, now's the time. In our day, you lucky none of us were singers. Me and your dad had a duet. Nobody got...
My mom and dad were one of the best duets, because we used to drive from the Bay Area to Long Beach like every other weekend. And to see their duets together, that's where I learned my music sense from. And my mom would say, oh, you get high and I'll go low. I'm like, what's going on? And the older I got, I was like, oh, that's what they was doing.
But you know what I'm saying? If half of the people in our day and age would have went out and did what their
wanted
art
to
was,
do,
yeah. But you know, and I'm not saying our parents held our down. Our parents just didn't see our dreams.
Yeah.
They were taught one way, and you know, you were lucky I saw your dreams, because I knew what America would bring. You know, this ain't. You know, we were kind of not on that page anyway. So to answer that question, that's what makes me happy and proud, is to see you all happy.
Come on, Mama. What do you want to tell your grandkids and great-grandkids? What would you want to tell them?
I know I keep saying this, but I want them first and foremost to believe in God.
Got it.
Because remember, without God, you are nothing.
Yeah.
So don't ever sit in that chair ever for one day and think that you ain't blessed.
Yeah.
Because...
And that's one thing, Mama, after every podcast, I say, oh, Mama, I had a good podcast. Did you thank God? And trust me, after every conversation, did you thank God? So definitely instill that to us.
And I don't want the podcast to be about me saying that all the time, but trust me, you put him into your life, you got that person you can't call on the phone, call.
Yeah.
You know me, like when I want to murder your father, I go inside, and you know, and I'm saying this is a true story.
Yeah, I know you are.
I said, God, help me.
Yeah.
Help me, because I don't want to be in prison. But anyway, that's what I want for my grandkids. So
I got another question for you. If you could redo one thing in your life, what would it be? If you could redo one thing, looking back now in your life, what would it be? Not that you have any regrets, but if you could redo one thing, what would it be? Don't mean to put you on the spot.
Well, no, you know, you're going to laugh, because it's probably should be something profound, but it's not. I wish I was more financially savvy.
Literate.
Savvy.
Okay, got it.
Because, you know, I made a lot of money for my day and age.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to invest it. I didn't know how to...
Oh, go ahead, Mama.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I didn't know those things.
Yeah.
And you know, I hate to talk because it sounds like I'm bragging.
But go and talk your shit, Mom. Talk your shit.
So to make like $100,000 in those days,
I remember.
You're talking 19, I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'd come home and tax people wanted to eat me alive because we didn't own nothing. Because, you know, at that time, it wasn't about owning. It was just about renting and rent a car and do this. If I had it all over to do again, shoot, I would have been very financial stable and could leave this earth knowing that I left my kids financially stable. Unfortunately, I have nothing for you.
But see, she left us a fan for herself, which we kind of seen it early in my mom, where she was, successful in her job, and something I really paid attention to, because you were a female in a high position in sales. And when I say sales, it kind of makes more sense, for me selling myself to social media and everything, where I can sell sand to the beach, and I got that from you because you were in the sales force for over 30 years.
Yeah, but I was in a sales force that was men.
Yeah,
men dominated.
Only. Yeah,
and I hate to say it again, Balangi dominated.
Yeah.
So they was looking at who's this little Mexican walking up. First of all, I'm not Mexican. I'm Polynesian.
Yeah.
Second of all, I will slap you.
Yeah.
And I think I was lucky to make it how I made it because I didn't meet their stereotype. I wasn't that 9 to 5 wear my suit and have my nails done. And I walked in there, you didn't like it.
Yeah.
Oh, say something.
Yeah.
So I
always would speak up. You would always speak up.
I honestly think that I made it in the business world as I made it because of not being that stereotype.
Yeah.
I went in there and you wrong.
Yeah.
You right. When I was wrong, oh God, I hated it, but I said, okay, yeah, I did that.
But even coming from that age and coming from that era of the old-fashioned era, where you had to transition, because this is my next question, where how we have social media now. We have smartphones. We have a lot of more resources. We have YouTube. So having you transition, because you always see our parents, they transition, on the FaceTime, they're always like this. Hey, son, I'm like, Mom, put the phone, back it up a little bit. But then they get on Facebook and you kind of reconnect with a lot of your old family and friends. Like, how have you taken transitioning from the non-age of social media to the social media age?
You know me, I love social media.
Oh, I know. Trust me, to a fault.
I don't know how to use social media. I'm still trying to figure out what's that Instagram.
Yeah.
And, I'm real good on Facebook. But here's my thing. I live in Utah.
Yeah.
I know more about what's going on in California and the family from Facebook than I do from a family member calling me and saying, Auntie, I learned it. I said, oh, yeah, I saw that on Facebook. When did that happen? I mean, it's, what do you say? It could be a bad thing.
Yeah, it could be used for good and evil.
It could be used for good and evil. I'm really on there. I love to be on there because I like to uplift people.
Yeah.
I love to be on there. And when I'm on there, I don't think I say one thing without starting off, hey, beautiful, how's your day? Or, hey, I want to be that person. Oh, well, at least somebody's,
Yeah, absolutely.
have a blessed day. Or, that's what I want. I like on social media. I like to look on there, even if I haven't seen you or whatever. I act like I saw you yesterday.
Because my mom be connected with family that I didn't even know we had. And I'd be like, she'd be like, oh, go say hi to your cousin if I'm doing a show in another city or state. And she'll have this connection with them where it's kind of dope to see how, because the adaptability with parents into social media from, old school to new school is rare. And I say it as this rarity because sometimes you can use it for bad and good, like we said, but you kind of use it and kind of adapted really well to it. Because I think with the Instagram, my mom will be like 3 a.m. liking my Instagram. I'm like, Mom, what are you doing up right now? Because you can see your mom liking your stuff. So in actuality, it kind of brings you closer with family because you didn't have the phones back in the day that you could check in with people like that. You didn't have that kind of platform to kind of check on everybody. And my mom's my biggest fan. When I have my podcast, she'll be the first one to repost it, and everybody, oh, go watch my son. So she's my biggest fan. So, but my last question to you is this: and it's not even a question. It's to say when you transition where you have you raised your kids, you have your grandkids and stuff like that. My mom also didn't want to tell you she had dealt with cancer, and we talked about cancer. She's a cancer survivor. And how did that affect you going forward? Because we as kids, we see our uncles and aunties and our friends and family go through this. When it happens in your own household, it was deep for us. So when my mom tries to play everything off, right? Oh, it's nothing. It's nothing. And it was actually something. So tell us about that whole transition, how you were ready to prepare to tell your family about this.
Oh my gosh, here we go back to God.
Yeah.
Okay. So I went to the hospital and she said I had cancer.
Yeah.
And when they say cancer in these days, remember, I'm from the days when you say the word cancer, that's cancer, do my funeral.
Yeah.
Okay, so when she said it, kind of hit me like, what?
Yeah.
And then I said, well, what kind of cancer? I had a double mastectomy. And I honestly, you're not going to believe this, but when I left the hospital, there was this, I don't know what you call he was a special needs kid.
Yeah.
And I went over to his house because in my mind, I thought, oh, I've got to go see McKelly because I'm not going to see him because I'm going to go do the surgery and blah, blah, blah. I go see McKelly, and remember, he's a special needs kid. I went to go kiss McKelly, and he tells me, okay, you'll be okay. I'm telling you,
Wow.
God just kind of like lifted me.
That was your confirmation.
From that second on, you guys was more worried than me.
We was.
You guys weren't, because I thought, if God takes me, it's my time.
Yeah.
And you know, Cisco, I wasn't religious before.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you know, I don't drink, I don't smoke. He says, but anyway, he lifted me, and I always think special needs kids are special from God.
Yeah.
They ain't special needs because they got special needs.
Yeah.
So when he said that to me, I said,
So he told you were going to be okay.
He told me, okay. And he literally hugged me. And mind you, he don't talk.
Yeah.
And whether he said it or he didn't say it, that's what I heard.
Yeah.
And I went home, and I thought, well, now my time is to make you guys comfortable.
Yeah.
Not me. I was good.
We was a wreck. Us as kids, we was a wreck.
And you know, in God's timing.
Yeah.
And I always say, you know, in God's timing, you know what happened. If this would have happened to me early in my life, it would have destroyed me.
Yeah.
I would. It's not that I'm vain.
Yeah.
It would have destroyed me. I don't know how I would have acted. I didn't have God at that time. I didn't, you know. But then the timing, and so here I am.
Because
it's going to take more than double cancer to put me down.
So when Mom's had double cancer, she kind of like sat us as kids. And, you know, when you think about cancer, you think of the worst. So when you told us to say, hey, just to let you guys know, if they have me go through chemo, I'm not going to do it.
Yes.
Like that was tough for us because, you know, you figure like chemo is the one that's going to help you get through the next. So for you to make that decision to kind of say to us kids, hey, if it comes down to where I have to do chemo, I'm not going to do it. Like, how do you come across to,
you know, and
I
I don't want anybody to think, you know, you make your own decision.
No, if you do, absolutely.
Everybody, it's their own decision. But to me, chemo destroys your body. I mean, it's taking what a little I got left that's good and destroying it. So the radiation, the reason why I told you I was going to opt for the radiation, that's directed to the one spot on your, you know, where they saw that the mass was or whatever. It was very easy because I had already made peace with God. Yeah. So if God was encouraging me, well, you know, because the Spirit tells you what to do, and I felt very good about it. No chemo. No ifs, buts about it. No chemo.
God forbid she didn't need the chemo, and now she's cancer free. I mean, we're not out of the woods, but like, we always like to have that as far as we're doing. But before we get up out of here, Mom, I wanted to thank you because this I thought was going to be a cry fest because I told myself, and it's not because of what we just talked about with my mom telling us she had cancer. I would always say I would regret if I never had my mom on my podcast, and I don't use it for that. I use it to say this is that, you know, when we all have our day, right? We all have our time, because you always remind us of this all the time, and I remind my kids as well, is where we have these moments and these keepsakes, and we have the luxury of having a podcast and having these tokens to have forever. To like have somebody that didn't know my mom, oh, you don't want to know my mom, check out this podcast. So it was more or less for us to kind of like to kind of say, look, if something ever forbid happened to you or happened, you know, to any of us, we'd have this as a kind of a sit down with me and you, where we could talk like this all day.
Yes.
This hour is not enough and not doing no justice, but me and you talk like this because I'm a mama's boy and I'm your oldest. But the last message you have for people watching this who may not have known you or maybe have known you and you didn't have that opportunity to say what you wanted to say, I want to give you this opportunity to say it to your friends and family now with your camera right there.
I just want to say that I hope I've always eluded love, because I never was, oh God, now you mean, because I never wanted to be one of those people. I when you put people down, just look at yourself in the mirror. So I just want to be known as someone who loved you, someone who treated you with respect, and someone who would be there for you no matter what.
That was a rough one.
Okay.
My mama's here. Western Conference Podcast. Your boy. See you in the next one.